Well, this is July 5th, 2011. We're all excited to be here, my cousin Victor Peña and myself, Fernando Peña. We're at the Victoria Archives office with Dr. Robert Shook, which we're very glad to have met again, and with Gary Dunam, an old friend who's the director of the Victoria Archives. We would like to let them introduce themselves, please. We might start with Dr. Shook, if she's okay.
My name's Bob Shook. I spent a number of years in college teaching. Specialty was Civil War and Reconstruction, except for the last few years when Gary and I met and became interested in local Victoria County history.
Okay. It's great to meet you. Gary?
My name is Gary Dunam, and I am Executive Director of Victoria Preservation, and I'm also Victoria County Heritage Director. We are in the building where the Heritage Department is officed and where the archives are located. I'm a native-born Texan. I came to Victoria in 1971 with a motion picture exhibition company and worked in that for 25 years, literally, and decided I wanted to change careers. So I applied for the job as Executive Director of Victoria Preservation and was chosen. A few short years after that, Victoria County created a Heritage Department and appointed the first Heritage Director, and I'm happy to say that I was that person. I've now been doing this for 10 or 11 years. My first, I guess, real bump into Martin de Leon would be that I knew shortly after moving here that Main Street used to be called the Street of 10 Friends. I didn't really know what that meant, but that was about the extent of my knowledge of the original town that Martin de Leon founded. About 2002, there was an effort to establish the El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. And the Alamo Area Council of Governments sent out letters to all counties who might be involved in this, asking for their support in the creation of this trail. And Dr. Shook and I have been working together on a number of different projects, but this really appealed to us, and we felt, of course, that we did want to support this, that we were a part of this. So we gave our support, and when the official map of the trail was published and this national trail became law, we were not on the map. For some reason, the research that was done to determine what would be on the map totally left us out, which was wrong. And that's when we really began an in-depth study of the history of what became Victoria County. And of course, that led us in 1824 to Martin de Leon. And it's been quite an adventure, and it's a story that some people have attempted to tell. It's been done well, sometimes not so well, but I don't think Martin de Leon has ever gotten the credit due to him for being such an astute man, and no one has appreciated the connections he had in the Republic of Mexico, which enabled him to establish and fulfill his contract for a colony right here on the Guadalupe River.
Great.
So we continue to dig and be amazed and uncover lots of interesting things.
Incredible. Why don't we let Dr. Shook since you're historian, tell us a little bit about the story of Victoria, the foundation of Victoria and Martin de Leon.
I moved here in 1957 and served on the faculty of Victoria College and University of Houston, Victoria, as an adjunct professor. And it became obvious to me that the story of Victoria County and Martin de Leon's role in Victoria County had been neglected. More serious was the almost total neglect of local historians in this region of the 300 years of Spanish, Mexican, Texas Republic history. So as Gary said, we collaborated in trying to convince the National Park Service to include us in the Camino Real celebration. We were only partially successful, but it did lead us, that challenge led us to Martin de Leon's village. And one document led to another, and another, and another. So in spite of some weakness, the Spanish language, I'd been prepared in French and German. Progress was made over 8 to 10 years. And what we have is a story that is both personal for Martin de Leon and his numerous descendants. But we have the story, if you will, a test tube examination of the theories that have come into print about Spain's northern frontier, more often referred to as the borderland, for many, many years. And we find that the personality and the challenges met by Martin de Leon encompass still to be discovered stories of much greater latitude. And that's what we are about, trying to prove not just the Camino Real ran through our county, which has been done, but that this single Mexican impresario colony founded by Martin de Leon took place at a time and a place where any number of characteristics, both of New Spain, Mexico, Martin de Leon, and his descendants, reflected the opportunities available on the borderland. That's what we hope to be able to make available.
Okay. Gary, I would like to ask you, what do you think is the most relevant for people to know in today's context about the history of Victoria and the Martin de Leon?
I would say that most people are acquainted with the book The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, but maybe not many people have zeroed in what he wrote in that book, and that was, and I quote, "How will we know it's us without our history?" And that is so true here, because we are, as a people, as inhabitants of this place, what we experience is shaped by our history here. And we have a rich Spanish colonial and Mexican heritage. And riding a white horse right through that is Martin de Leon.